Now continuing on, you're going to take the piece of rope that's furthest from you and you're going to tie a simple overhand knot. If you forget how to tie a simple overhand knot, refer to the previous instructions. This is like the start of tying your tennis shoes. Here, what you're going to do is you're going to put in a double overhand knot. So you start with a simple overhand knot. You tighten it. Then you're going to take your other piece of rope and you're going to put the end through the center of the overhand knot. You're going to go up and over. Then you're going to go back under the piece of rope that you're working with. Pull the rope out to the end. Then you're going to go through the loop, right through the center of the knot. At this point, if you cannot do the double overhand knot, you can replace it with a simpler water knot. Then you're going to adjust the knot by tightening the ends of the rope. You need to measure from the middle of the feeder knot to your double overhand knot. This should be 6.5 to 7 inches. You can loosen the knot by pushing into the knot on both sides. You can then move the knot up or down the length of the rope until it gets to be 7 inches. Now you're going to work with the piece of rope that is closest to you. You can put the other piece of rope up to the top. Take the rope closest to you and tie a simple overhand knot. Between these two knots, your measurement should be approximately 9.5 inches in length. Now here, you're going to tie a loop knot. Make sure to check your measurements, 9.5 to 10 inches. Then what you're going to do is take the end of the piece of rope that you're working with and put it through the center of your overhand knot. Here you're going to do a double overhand knot, but you're going to leave a loop on the end. This can get a bit confusing. Pull your rope through until you have approximately 2 inches. Then you're going to take your piece of rope and go up and over your overhand knot. You're going to bring it under the knot. And then you're going to take the end of your rope and you're going to put it through the center of the loop and through the knot. You might practice this knot with a scrap piece of rope in order to perfect it. Then you're going to tighten the knot by pulling on the loop and on the end. Check your measurements. Again, it should be 9.5 to 10 inches. You can loosen it by pushing into the knot and then sliding it up or down the rope. Now on your halter, you're going to work on the cheek piece. The cheek piece should measure from knot to knot approximately 11 inches. You're going to take the noseband knot that is closest to you and loosen it. You're going to take your piece of rope and slide it through the middle of the knot. Here you will be making another double overhand knot. Remember, at any point, if you're having difficulties, you can substitute with a simple water knot. Take the time to adjust your halter as you go along. From the center of one knot to the center of the other knot, your cheek piece should measure approximately 11 inches. Here, you're going to cross over. You're going to take your piece of rope and go under. Take the end and go through the loop and through the middle of the knot. Pull it and tighten the knot. Slide it up and down in order to tighten it. At this point, you're going to want to check your measurements. Remember, it should be approximately 11 inches from the center of one knot to the center of the other. You can adjust the knot by loosening it and then pulling it tight. Continue to check your measurements. Then straighten your halter by pulling up on the noseband section and down on the feodor knot, making sure that your knots are even. Now we're going to work on the noseband. You'll take your piece of rope and you're going to put the end through the center of your other simple overhand knot. Again, we're going to make another double overhand knot. Here you're going to pull the rope through the center. Then you're going to go over the top. You're going to take the piece of rope and go under. And you're going to pull it through all the excess. And then you're going to take the end and go through the loop you just created, and then through the center of your first simple overhand knot. Now you're going to tighten your knots. You do this by taking the individual pieces of rope that go into the knot and out of the knot and pulling them tight. Now at this point you might need to adjust the knot either up or down. You want to pull down on the feodor knot and up on the noseband piece. You want to make sure at this point that the knots are even. At this point, this is what your halter should look like. Now we're going to work on the other cheek piece. You want this to also be approximately 11 inches in length. You're going to take the same piece of rope that you've been working with and tie a simple overhand knot, remembering at any point you can substitute a water knot. Now I move the piece of rope closest to me out of the way. Now you're going to take the piece of rope that you have left aside and you're going to take it and put it up and through the center of your overhand knot. Remember, the cheek piece should measure approximately 11 inches. So at this point you might have to adjust your knot. Now the lower piece should measure 9.5 to 10 inches, the same length as the other one. Again, remember, this should measure approximately 9.5 to 10 inches. Take the piece of rope that you just put through the center of the simple overhand knot and go up and over. Then you're going to go underneath, through the loop you've just created, and through the center of the simple overhand knot. Then you're going to pull the end and you're going to tighten the knot by pulling on the ends that lead into and out of the knot. Now you're going to want to check your measurements again. The top measurement is 11 inches and the lower one 9.5 or 10 inches. Then make any adjustments necessary. At this point, you're going to want to make sure the side cheek pieces and the lower pieces are the same. Now you've completed your first horse rope halter.